I saw you put something in your pocket. Don't lie to me. People like you are why crime is up around here.
Empty your pockets right now. We're not stupid.
The fluorescent lights of Patterson's grocery hummed overhead as Andre Williams reached for a box of cereal on aisle 7. He didn't notice the couple watching him from the end cap. Not at first, but then came the voice, sharp and accusatory, slicing through the mundane soundtrack of shopping carts and checkout beeps. Excuse me, did you just put something in your pocket? Andre turned, confusion flickering across his face. A middle-aged woman in a designer jacket stood 15 feet away, her husband beside her, both staring at him with identical expressions of suspicion. His hands were empty except for the cereal box. I'm sorry, what? Andre asked, his tone measured, careful. I saw you, the woman continued, louder now, her finger jabbing toward him. You put something in your jacket, we're not blind. The aisle went quiet, other shoppers slowed, pretending to read labels while their attention locked onto the unfolding scene. Andre felt the familiar weight settle into his chest, the exhaustion that came with being a black man in spaces where his presence was questioned before his character could speak. Ma'am, I haven't put anything in my pockets. I just got here. Don't lie to us. Where are you watching this from? Drop your location in the comments below, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. You won't believe where this goes. Andre Williams was 32 years old, a middle school history teacher, who'd spent the last 8 years shaping young minds in the same neighborhood where he grew up. He'd bought his first home 2 years ago, a modest 3-bedroom with a backyard, where he dreamed of one day building a treehouse for kids he hoped to have. His students called him Mr., and parents requested him by name, because he had a gift for making the past come alive, for showing children that history wasn't just dates and dead people, it was a mirror that reflected who they could become. He wasn't supposed to be at Patterson's that Tuesday evening. His usual store was across town, but his mother had called asking for her favorite brand of tea, the kind this particular store carried, and Andre never said no to his mother, so he'd driven the extra 20 minutes after grading papers, his mind still half occupied with tomorrow's lesson on the civil rights movement, a lesson that suddenly felt less like history and more like prophecy, as he stood in that aisle, being accused of a crime he hadn't committed by 2 strangers, whose only evidence was the color of his skin. Ma'am, sir, I understand there's been some confusion, but I assure you. Show us your pockets, the husband demanded, stepping forward. He was tall, broad-shouldered, the kind of man used to being obeyed. Empty them, right now. Andre's jaw tightened. Every fiber of his being wanted to tell this man exactly where he could go with his demands, but years of navigating these situations had taught him a cruel mathematics: anger equals danger, resistance equals escalation, and a black man standing his ground too firmly could end up on the evening news for all the wrong reasons. I'm not obligated to show you anything, Andre said, keeping his voice level. I haven't done anything wrong. A liar? The woman's voice cracked like a whip. Tom, he's lying. Call someone. Call security. There is no security here, Andre said. This is a grocery store. Then we'll call the police. Tom shot back, already reaching for his phone. Around them the audience grew. An elderly black woman 2 carts away shook her head, recognition in her eyes. She'd seen this movie before, knew how it ended. A young white couple exchanged uncomfortable glances but said nothing, their silence as loud as any accusation. A teenage employee stood frozen by the dairy case, unsure whether to intervene or disappear. Have you ever witnessed something like this? How would you react? Please, Andre said, and he hated the pleading note that crept into his voice, hated that he had to beg for basic human dignity. I'm a teacher. I came here to buy tea for my mother. I have my wallet, my ID, my debit card. Everything I own is paid for. I don't need to steal. That's what they all say, the woman muttered, just loud enough. They all say. Those 3 words hung in the air like poison gas, revealing the truth beneath the accusation. This wasn't about a pocket or a stolen item. This was about an assumption as old as America itself, about the presumption of guilt that followed Andre and men who looked like him through every door, down every street, into every space where their presence was deemed questionable. What did you just say? Andre's voice dropped an octave. You heard me? Say it again, louder this time. Let everyone hear what you really mean. Tom stepped between them, his face reddening. Don't you threaten my wife. I haven't threatened anyone, but your wife just revealed what this is really about, didn't she? Because I'm curious, what do they all say? Ma'am, who are they? The woman's face flushed, caught. I wasn't. Yes, you were. Andre's voice carried now, resonating through the aisle. Other shoppers had stopped pretending to shop. Phones were out, recording. You saw a black man in your grocery store, and decided he must be stealing. No evidence, no stolen goods, just an assumption. We saw you. You saw nothing, Andre interrupted. his composure finally cracking. "You saw me existing, and that was enough. You saw me reaching for cereal I was about to purchase and invented a crime to justify your suspicion." Tom's finger jabbed toward Andre's chest, not quite touching. "Listen here." "No, you listen." Andre stood his ground, refusing to step back. "I have every right to be here. I have money in my account, and a shopping list in my hand. What I don't have is patience for this. So either call the police like you threatened, or leave me alone." "Oh, we're calling them," Tom confirmed, phone already to his ear. 911? "Yes, I need police at Patterson's grocery on Hamilton Street. There's a suspicious individual here who's becoming aggressive and threatening my wife." Andre's blood ran cold. Aggressive, threatening, the words that transformed victim into perpetrator, that rewrote reality into a narrative where he became the danger. The police arrived 12 minutes later, 12 minutes during which the standoff continued, with Tom and his wife blocking the aisle, refusing to let Andre leave, insisting he wait for the authorities. Andre stood there, phone in hand, texting his mother that he'd be late, texting his friend Devin to stand by, filming everything because he'd learned long ago that without evidence, his word meant nothing against theirs. Officer Patricia Mendez arrived first, her partner Officer Jason Park 3 steps behind. Mendez was a 15-year veteran, with sharp eyes that took in the scene immediately, the well-dressed white couple, the professionally dressed black man, the crowd of onlookers with phones raised, and the palpable tension crackling through the air. "All right, everyone calm down," Mendez said, hands raised. "Someone want to tell me what's happening?" Tom jumped in immediately. "Officer, this man was shoplifting. My wife saw him put merchandise in his jacket pocket. When we confronted him, he became hostile and threatening." "That's a lie," Andre said flatly. "Every word of that is a lie." Mendez looked at Andre. "Sir, can you tell me your side?" Andre explained, his voice steady despite the adrenaline flooding his system, the couple watching him, the accusation, the refusal to let him leave, the insults wrapped in barely concealed racism. "Do you have anything in your pockets?" Mendez asked. "My phone, my wallet, and my keys," Andre replied. "Nothing from this store. I literally just walked in 10 minutes ago." "Would you be willing to show me?" Andre hesitated. He knew his rights. He wasn't obligated to consent to a search without probable cause, but he also knew the calculus. Refuse and look guilty, comply and surrender dignity. He pulled out his phone, wallet and keys, holding them up. His jacket pockets were visibly empty. Tom's wife faltered. "He must have. Maybe I was mistaken about which pocket." "So you're not certain now?" Officer Park asked, notepad out. "I know what I saw." "What would you do in Andre's position? Let us know in the comments." "Ma'am, what specifically did you see him take?" Mendez pressed. "I don't. It happened fast. Something small." "Can you describe it?" "No, but I know." "Hold on," interrupted a voice from behind them. A young woman in a Patterson's employee vest pushed through the crowd, tablet in hand. "I'm Kelly, assistant manager. I pulled up our security footage." The energy in the aisle shifted. Tom and his wife exchanged glances. Andre felt hope kindle in his chest. Kelly turned the tablet so everyone could see. "This is the feed from camera 7, which covers this entire aisle. Here's the timestamp, from when this gentleman," she nodded at Andre, "entered the aisle at 6:47 p.m. The footage was clear. Andre walking down the aisle, checking his phone, reaching for the cereal, and then turning at the sound of the woman's voice. At no point did his hands go to his pockets. At no point did he take anything except the cereal box he was still holding. "As you can see," Kelly continued, her voice professional, but her eyes angry, "he never put anything in his pockets. But here's what's interesting." She swiped to another camera angle. "This is camera 12 from the end of aisle 6, which shows the couple before they confronted him." The new footage showed Tom and his wife, watching Andre with obvious suspicion for a full 2 minutes before approaching him. Their body language was clear. They'd already decided he was guilty before he'd even touched anything. Mendez's expression hardened. She turned to the couple. "So let me get this straight. You watched this man for 2 minutes, decided he was stealing based on nothing, confronted him, prevented him from leaving, and called 911 reporting him as aggressive and threatening." "We were just trying to help," the woman stammered. "Crime is up in this neighborhood." "That's not an answer, ma'am." Tom's bluster returned. "Look, we made a mistake, okay? Can we just drop this, and everyone go home?" "Drop this?" Andre's voice was incredulous. "You tried to have me arrested. You slandered me in front of dozens of people. You lied to police officers, and now you want to just walk away?" "Sir," Officer Mendez said gently, turning to Andre, "you have several options here. Given what I've witnessed, and what's on that footage, there are grounds for filing a false report charge against these individuals. You could also pursue civil action." Andre looked at the couple, Tom's red face, his wife's tears, their expensive clothes and entitled expressions now cracking under the weight of consequences they'd never imagined facing. He thought about his students, about the lessons he taught on courage and justice, and standing up against wrongs. "I want to file a report," Andre said clearly. "Official charges for filing a false police report, and I want a copy of all security footage. I'll be pursuing civil action for defamation and false imprisonment." "You can't be serious," Tom blustered. "It was an honest mistake." "There was nothing honest about it," Andre cut him off. "You racially profiled me, falsely accused me, physically prevented me from leaving, and then lied to police officers about me being aggressive. Those aren't mistakes, those are choices." The wife was crying now, mascara streaking. "Please, this will ruin us. My husband's a partner at a law firm. Should have thought about that before you decided I was a criminal for shopping while black." Officer Mendez nodded. "Mr. Williams, if you'll come with me to the patrol car, we'll get your statement documented." Before we continue, if you're finding this story powerful, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that button now. You don't want to miss stories like this. The video went viral within 48 hours. Kelly, the assistant manager, had given Andre copies of all security footage, and he'd spliced it together with his own phone recording of the confrontation. By Thursday morning it had 17 million views across multiple platforms. #Justice for Andre trended nationally. News outlets picked it up. Patterson's Grocery released a statement supporting Andre and banning the couple from all their locations. The consequences cascaded. Tom Richardson, senior partner at Richardson & Cross LLP, was placed on administrative leave pending an investigation by his firm. His wife Linda Richardson lost her position on 2 nonprofit boards. Their faces became symbols, not of innocent mistake, but of the casual racism that still infected everyday American life. But the story didn't end with their downfall. Andre received thousands of messages, some supportive, others vicious. Strangers debated his choices online. Some praised his decision to press charges. Others called him vindictive, said he should have shown grace, that ruining lives over a misunderstanding made him as bad as the couple. This criticism stung more than the original accusation, revealing another uncomfortable truth. Victims of racism were expected to be twice as gracious as their oppressors, to absorb the harm done to them, and respond with superhuman forgiveness. The legal process moved forward. Tom and Linda Richardson faced misdemeanor charges for filing a false police report. Andre's civil suit sought damages for emotional distress, defamation, and false imprisonment. Their lawyers pushed for settlement. Andre refused. "This isn't about money," he told his attorney, a brilliant black woman named Simone Chen, who'd taken his case pro bono. "It's about the record. It's about making sure that when this happens, and it will happen again, to someone else, there's precedent, there's documentation, there's proof that actions have consequences." 3 months later, in a courtroom that felt too small for the weight of what it represented, a judge found Tom and Linda Richardson guilty. They received the maximum fine, community service, and mandates for anti-bias training. Andre's civil suit resulted in a settlement large enough to make headlines, money he immediately donated to organizations fighting racial injustice and supporting victims of discrimination. But perhaps the most unexpected outcome came from his students. Word had spread through the school, and on the Monday after the verdict, Andre arrived to find his classroom decorated with handmade posters. "Mr. W stands up," one read. "Justice matters," declared another. His students, black, white, Latino, Asian, a beautiful tapestry of humanity, had organized a discussion circle to talk about what happened and what it meant. Mr. W asked a student named Deshaun, "Were you scared?" Andre thought about lying, about presenting himself as fearless, but these kids deserve truth. "Terrified," he admitted, "because I knew that even though I'd done nothing wrong, I could still end up hurt or arrested, or worse. That's what racism does. It makes you afraid in places where you should feel safe." "But you still stood up," said Emma, a white girl whose eyes were red from crying. "You could have just left, but you made them face what they did." "I had a choice," Andre said carefully. "I had privilege, education, a stable job, resources, witnesses, cameras. Lots of people in my position don't have those things. And for them, standing up could mean losing everything. What I did wasn't heroism, it was survival with the luxury of evidence." The conversations continued for weeks, rippling beyond his classroom to other teachers, other schools, other communities. Parents called to thank him and to apologize. Some confessed their own biases, their own moments of suspicion they now viewed differently. Others grew defensive, insisting their children were learning to see race when they should be learning to be colorblind, missing the point entirely. A year after that Tuesday evening in Patterson's Grocery, Andre stood before a packed auditorium at a teaching conference, sharing his story as part of a panel on confronting racism in everyday spaces. He'd grown tired of telling it, exhausted by the weight of being a symbol, but he continued because silence felt like surrender. "What happened to me isn't special," he told the crowd. "It happens every single day to black people across this country, at grocery stores, in coffee shops, on sidewalks, in their own neighborhoods. The only difference is that my story was filmed, went viral, resulted in consequences. Most don't. Most stories end with the victim walking away, carrying one more invisible scar, one more reason to question whether they truly belong in spaces that should welcome everyone." He paused, looking out at hundreds of faces. Justice isn't just about punishing racism when it's caught on camera. It's about dismantling the systems and assumptions that make incidents like mine possible in the first place. It's about teaching our children, all our children, to question their instincts, to examine their biases, to understand that equality isn't just a legal concept but a daily practice. And it's about holding ourselves accountable, even when no one's watching, even when there's no viral video to force our hand. The audience erupted in applause, but Andre barely heard it. He was thinking about his students, about the world he was trying to help build for them, a world where no one would have to carefully modulate their anger, prove their innocence, or carry the burden of representation, simply because of the color of their skin. That world didn't exist yet, but standing there sharing his story one more time, Andre held on to the stubborn, fragile hope that perhaps, one confrontation at a time, one consequence at a time, one difficult conversation at a time, they might inch closer to it. Because accountability matters, evidence matters, speaking truth to prejudice matters, and refusing to let injustice slide quietly into the past, that matters most of all.